Not sure if we're live yet. Yes, I think we're live now. Um, Hello there. Remember back in the day, Letterman had a segment on his show called Stupid Pet Tricks? And then, thanks to a good friend, Colin Collard, who I haven't connected with in far too long, I don't know if he coined it, but he's the one that introduced it to me, which was the stupid pet human trick, or stupid human trick. And I don't know if you found, as I have, that your greatest strength can also be a sabotage mechanism or a detriment to you. And I know that one of my stupid human tricks is to be a possibility thinker and to be able to, I'm proud of being able to create from thin air and to um, be a visionary and then will that vision into reality to create that unprecedented bigger future. And I love it, but it can also be a blind spot for me. And what I mean is that because I'm so predisposed, if you will, to think in terms of those that way of being, that sometimes I stay attached to things that are not in my wheelhouse, that I shouldn't be working on, or that simply won't work, and I stay with it perhaps longer than I should, and that it's never going to work out. And that adds to the chaos and the confusion and the craziness in my life. And I don't know if you've identified with this in any way, shape, or form, but for me, what I have learned to do when I'm aware that I'm getting paralyzed and I'm evaluating this or that and trying to consume all these different ideas and put it into something usable, that I'm not going to, that I can overcome the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and oh my God, if I don't do this, then I'm, everybody else is doing that, and so blah, 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 and the chaos that ensues thereof. So I have a 3-step business plan, or not really business plan, but centering plan for myself. And I call it the legitimize, personalize, and capitalize process. And I think enough has been said about the legitimize portion of it. I don't really want to talk about that right now, except to say that I'm sure we all have our filters, if you will, by which we determine whether something is legitimate or not, and that whether it's something that even warrants our attention. For me, where I tend to get stuck is in the personalized phase of the process, which is, what is right for me personally, based upon my skills, based upon my goals at the time, my capabilities, and of course my specific situation, because our situation shifts in our life. And so just because something's legitimate and a great idea and possible doesn't mean that it's right for me personally. And so when I get in touch with what are my skills, what are my capabilities, what are my desires in life, what's my vision right now, and what's the situation, where am I starting from, what do I have to work with, it gives me a better honing pigeon, if you will, to make those decisions when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel like the internet monster of chaos is consuming me, and then I'm like that proverbial squirrel in the road, right, where I don't know which way to run, and sooner or later I'm going to get run over by that tractor trailer truck. So I think that's the biggest piece of the puzzle, is that we forget about, is just because something's right and works doesn't necessarily mean that it is right for us or will work for us based upon where we are right now in our life and what we're looking to accomplish. Where are we starting from and where are we going to? And it's okay to to say no to things, and And in fact, I mean, there's lots of quotes from Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett and the likes of very, very successful folks out there that have said that their biggest breakthroughs in success has been knowing what to say no to and saying no to more things than they say yes to. And again, because I'm a possibility thinker and I tend to be, one of my strongest strengths is being a futurist and seeing things that are clear to me that other people don't necessarily see. I have a tendency to stay in that place and be attached to that. And it doesn't mean that it's wrong or that I don't see those things, but how is it useful to me personally? And likewise, just because I see something and I find it useful for me and it's something that works for me doesn't mean that it's something that everybody in the world can identify with and should identify with. So, and then the final piece, obviously, is the action piece, which is the capitalize on it piece. But if I've done the first two properly, then I can't wait to get into action. I can't wait to capitalize on it, to make something happen with it. It's when I'm unclear, when I lack the clarity, when I lack the, when I'm stuck in that overwhelm, that I find myself not able to focus properly. And then I get into the forced action and the motivated action as opposed to something that I'm inspired to do. The capitalization part for me becomes easy if I have the other pieces in place ahead of time. And there's we can still get stuck in this from time to time. And one of my early business mentors used to say, you can't turn chicken shit into chicken salad, right? And that was a reminder to me that, hey, just because something is, that you think it's doable, or, don't be so attached to something. Be willing to shift, be willing to be flexible and adaptable, because, crap is crap. And no matter how you spice it up, it still tastes like shit, right? I mean, so that's the ideal place to stand. Now, the other part of this, though, is that some of my biggest successes has been because that I've tweaked and I've massaged, and I had this vision, and I just knew. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew that I could make something happen that, and it took me a lot longer than I anticipated, but I stuck with it because it just felt right to me. And that same mentor that has that phrase, one of the reasons he used to tell me that is that there was a particular business idea that we were working on together that he didn't think was going to work because I had tried it for so long that it failed and that it wasn't going to work. And so he told me, leave that alone, just let it go. But something in me said, I've got to make this happen. I've got to see this through. And I tweaked it and I massaged it and I changed it. I didn't stay attached to it looking the way that it was looking because it wasn't working in the form that it was in. Long story monotonous, the idea finally worked after almost 2 years of work on it. And it ended up turning into a $50 million revenue stream of gross revenues that, had we not pursued it, would have been lost, and was a huge breakthrough for all of us. So when I'm stuck, though, and I don't know what I don't know, and I'm stuck between, is this something that's truly in me and I feel strongly about, or am I being attached to something, or am I in that quandary place? I have a 11 word statement that I use as a double check, and I think this was first introduced to me by Alan Cohen in a book called The Dragon Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I believe that's where I first heard this from. And it's very simple and it works wonders. And here it is. If it's not a hell yes, it's automatically a hell no, right? If it's not a hell yes, if you're in your head saying hell yes, and you're wondering, but it's also not, you don't know what you don't know. So you're not able to say, yeah, hell yes, I'm going for this. Then it's automatically a hell no until you can say hell yes. Now, sometimes it's just a simple shift, but in your heart, if you're pushing something, if you're making something more out of it than it needs to be or than it should be. And that's that's the reality. That's at least that's my secret that always pulls me back on track. And it's a reminder that it's okay to say no. And if I can't say, yes, I got to get this out, and I'm inspired to bring this forward, and I'm, like that, and from that standpoint, then I know that that it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no at this moment in time, and it's time to let it be that for this moment in time. And with that, I'll sign off and say thank you. Talk to you next time.